Well, welcome back to the Protein Snack Shop podcast. Hello, everybody. Today on the show, we've got a very special person you may or may not have seen before. The founder of Protein Snack Shop, my wife and my best friend, Dana.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
So we wanted to tell you Dana's story. It's very inspirational. It's kind of how we got to the point of the business. We've kind of given you little snippets throughout time that if you've listened to us and you've heard us on other podcasts, but her story is really remarkable and very inspiring. So I'm going to kind of turn it over to you, Dana. Tell us a little bit about just your childhood, your struggles, how you've gotten past it, and it's really defined who you are today.
Yeah. So I guess, oh gosh, how far back do I go? I guess starting as a young age, I've always been super active. I've always been an athlete and very competitive and very active in all different things: martial arts, mountain biking, rock climbing, snowboarding, soccer, baseball, volleyball, you name it. I've done most of it and enjoyed it all. Later in life, taking up triathlons and bikini competitions and that kind of thing. But I guess food has always been a big struggle for me my whole life, pretty much. Probably starting in middle school, being 43 years old. I was a youth in the time when skinny was in and
Kate Moss days.
Yeah. And everything you ate was fat-free and fat-free chips were coming out and you used butter spray on everything. And it was how little of calories you could get. And that was a struggle. I think it was a struggle for a lot of us in that time. So, of course, leading into high school and self-awareness, I struggled a lot with eating disorders, which I think, unfortunately, was very common in those days. Anorexia, bulimia, struggled with that through college mostly, and then into my young adult life. Affected some of my sports and athletics and so forth. So that's just always been something that has been very, very difficult for me. My mom actually had teachers watching me in high school, making sure that I was eating at lunch and things like that. So it was pretty intense for me. And I always wanted to kind of overcome that, I guess. There's all those reels going around Instagram right now. If I knew then what I knew now, what would I tell my younger self?
Sure.
That's definitely where I would go back to. So yeah, just having a lot of struggles with that. And as I got older, being as passionate as I am about fitness and competitions and that kind of thing, it really kind of came into play a lot when I was working with my clients. They would come into the gym and some of them would train with me 5 days a week and they would kill it in the gym, but they weren't getting the results that they wanted or that they were expecting. And we would do their assessments every so many weeks and things weren't changing. And I was like, what is it that you're struggling so hard with? What is it that you can't live without? Like, why is this so difficult for you? And it always went back to food. I'm an emotional eater. I can't give up this. I love this, whatever it was. So I would go back home and I would figure out a healthier way to make whatever it was that they couldn't live without, whether it was, cakes, muffins, breads, whatever. I try to make it gluten-free. I try to make it sugar-free. I try to make it higher in protein. And I try to come up with these recipes that I could give them and be like, here, try this instead. You can't ever just tell somebody you can't eat that, depriving yourself, which is what I often did in my youth. Just stop eating that. Just stop doing that. It doesn't work like that. A lot of people don't understand as a trainer, it's not just showing up at the gym, taking them through a workout and send them on their way. Being a trainer has a lot more involvement than that. You have to be emotionally connected to your clients. I had clients that were struggling with infertility and marriage problems and work problems and financial problems, and stress can affect your weight. It can affect your hormones. It can affect your eating. It can affect everything. So you had to get down to the bottom of whatever it was that your clients were going through. To be a good trainer, you have to be emotionally involved. And that takes a lot out of you, but it's very important. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful as a trainer. So I would get very involved with my clients and get down to the nitty gritty with them. And a lot of times it all just came down to food. That's where they would find their comfort. That's where they would find whatever it was that they were struggling with, that's what they would go to. And I think today that's very common with people still as well. So that's a lot of where I started what I do. I wanted to find a way that people could still get that comfort, still feel like they're cheating, still feel like they're getting whatever it is that they can't live without, but not making it detrimental to their health. So I did that for years, just trying to find new ways to create recipes for people. I had one client, Gina, who had a son who had MS. I think I've told you this story before.
Amazing.
One of my favorite stories. Gina was Italian, and she was a little spitfire, and she was amazing, and I loved training her. She was great. And she had a 22-year-old son who had MS, and he already had a walker at this point. It was pretty difficult for him. And I was like, Gina, you have to try to like change his diet. Like, you know, the meds weren't helping. Everything that he was going through was not helping. And I said, let's change his diet around. I said, I want you to try to take gluten out of his diet. I want you to try to take sugar out of his diet. And she's like, you're crazy. And we're Italian. We eat bread and pasta. And there's just no way we're going to do that. There's no way he'll stick to that. And I said, just give me a couple weeks. Just try it out for a couple weeks. If you don't see any changes, then we'll give it up.
Hadn't heard anything.
Why not?
Yeah.
Let's give it a try. And so she did it. She took gluten out of his diet. She really watched what he was eating. Within a month, he was playing basketball. It was pretty incredible.
I get teary-eyed every time I hear about that.
It was pretty incredible. So that's when I really just kind of realized that, you know, food used in the right way is medicine.
Absolutely.
Like food can heal people. And so from that point on, just with the struggles that I've had with eating and watching clients with the struggles that they've had, one of my biggest clients, she used to be a professional ballerina. She was phenomenal. She was a dancer and she was just incredible. By the time she came to me, she's about 5'6" and she weighed about 290 pounds. And she's just like, I struggle eating. I struggle with my food. And I was like, what, like, tell me what your daily diet is like. She's like, well, I don't really eat that much. She was, again, my age. I didn't really eat that much. But when I do, it's usually, you know, pastries or cakes or, you know, I have a donut for breakfast and I won't eat all day and then I'll binge on junk food. And she was probably only taking in 1,000 calories a day, maybe, but it was all sugar and processed carbs and horrible stuff for her. And she was now eating that way, almost 300 pounds. And I was like, that's just crazy to me. It's crazy, the science behind it and just how it affects people's nutrition and their health and their mood and just everything. So I kind of made it my goal to just really focus on the part that people struggle with the most. There's a lot of amazing trainers out there. There's a lot of amazing gyms. Nowadays, there's, you know, F45 and Rockbox, and you can show up and what is that frog one?
Gosh, we did
an event there. You show up and they take you through these amazing workouts, Orange Theory, and there's amazing trainers at Gold's and, you know, Olympus, and you can show up and you can find someone who can push you through and show you how to get through the gym. But when you go home at night or when you get up in the morning, what you're putting in your mouth is going to completely outdo whatever it is that you did at the gym. You cannot out exercise a bad diet.
What do they say? 80% is diet.
80% is diet.
That's right.
Yep.
So I want to take you back a little bit because I really think the audience needs to hear. And it always kind of gets to me about how kind of where it started to get bad for you. You had qualified for the junior Olympic team in Taekwondo, right? And then talk me through that if you can. Just that experience.
I was just really sick at that time. I was not eating well, and that was one of the lowest points for me, where I was just really sick. And the more I wouldn't eat, the more I wouldn't. I mean, at that time it was mostly not eating. That's when I was really struggling with anorexia. And I kept training and I would push myself harder and harder. And I wouldn't eat because I always felt like I was fat. I always felt like I couldn't eat. And it put me into a really bad place.
Tell them, how long were you in the hospital?
I don't even remember. A while, but I never got to compete. It was a dark time for me.
Yeah. So it's amazing to hear how you've turned that obsession into a positive one with fitness and eating healthy. But beyond that, what I get moved by on a daily basis, sorry guys, it's just amazing how passionate she is about helping other people. She'll run herself ragged hours a day to try to make sure other people are healthy and happy and do things for them. And so it has been an incredible journey. I still remember when you, because she's had some stuff that she's had to chase me around the house. I'm like, I'm not trying that. It doesn't sound like what I, because I want my sweet to taste like a sweet. And so I'll still never forget when it was the lemon bar, or was it the peanut butter bar? Because they were both in close proximity.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is amazing. And I cannot believe it doesn't have sugar. And I mean, all the things that would make it sound terrible. And I still just remember thinking, like, you really have something here. And y'all, she's very, very humble and modest. But what she's created has been exciting. We get to see so many smiling faces. We just got done doing the Bell Buckle Arts and Craft Fair. And it's always so refreshing to us because we put in a lot of hours, don't we?
Yes.
A lot of hours, 6-7 days a week. But it's exciting to hear just how people respond. People love it. I mean, how many times have we heard, there's no way this is sugar-free. There's no way it's got high protein in it. There's no way it's gluten-free. And so it's been incredible to see. And every time I do these events, y'all, and it's just moving. I mean, a lot of the times we end up teary-eyed because, you get some people that are celiac that don't have any good options out there. A lot of folks that are diabetic that are like, man, I can never eat anything that tastes decent. Tell us that story. I'll let you tell it about the 12-year-old. We've already told on one podcast last year at Bell Buckle, just how inspired. I mean, I'll never forget her little face.
Yeah, there was a little girl. She was 12 years old and she was celiac. She had been really sick and she was hospitalized for a while until they figured out what was wrong with her, right?
Almost 2 months.
Yes. And then they found out that she was severely celiac. And so, of course, as a little girl, that takes a lot of excitement out of her diet. And she came up to our booth and we had samples of everything. And she asked if she could try them, if they were gluten-free. And we said, yeah, have as many as you want. And she went all the way down the line. And she went all the way back again. And she's like, it's been so long since I've had anything like this. She goes, my dad, I can't have anything that I enjoy because everything has to be gluten-free and there's just no good stuff out there. I don't get treats anymore. And she laughed and she ended up coming back later. And she's like, do you mind if I have some more samples? And didn't we give her some stuff? Yeah. She had tried everything again. And then we gave her some more stuff. And she was just like in tears because she just hadn't had anything that tasted good for so long.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. I got teary-eyed because she was so excited. And y'all, we get that all the time.
All the time. From diabetics, from celiacs. Just
from people that want to enjoy. I just had a gentleman stop by. You weren't there, the manufacturing facility. And he said, man, I ate some of your stuff at Bell Buckle. And it gives me so much energy. I've never felt like this before. I'm telling everybody about it. So it makes it worth the time and the effort that we put in. It's very rewarding. Tell the audience a little bit about kind of our next big move that we're excited about, where we're moving into.
Yeah. So I think with that, even starting a little, I guess I feel like I should share a little bit about where we started. Like when I first started my business, I was in upper management for Target. You were a full-time pharmacist. Yeah. We never saw each other. So we decided that I was going to quit my job. And then I didn't know what I was going to do, right?
You made it a whole 1 month.
I think I made it a month. A girlfriend of mine owned the smoothie bar at Gold's Gym in Smyrna. And she said, I have people all the time asking me for food and I only have smoothies. So why don't you make because at that time, because you wouldn't try a lot of my stuff, I would make all my goodies and I would bring them to the trainers at the gym and I would pretty much try to give them to anybody who I could get to try it. And everyone loved it. Everyone who tried them loved them. So my girlfriend is like, make your stuff and bring it in here so I can sell it so that people have food options too. I was like, that sounds like a great hobby. I went and got my business license. I found a small commercial kitchen that my girlfriend had that I could cook out of. And so I started just making, at that time, it was just simple things, no bake cookies. And I think I was even making some protein fat bombs and keto chows and different things like that. And I was bringing them in and they were selling like crazy. I was excited. It was fun. I was just making a few things here and there, trying new recipes, and they were selling. And then I'm like, it'd be really fun to have like a retail outlet somewhere where I could really get feedback on this stuff. And that's when I found, at the time, Mike Byers, who's the owner of the Nutrition Factory franchise. And he goes, let's put these in my store and see how they do. He's like, let's make this work. And that's kind of when I took it a little bit more seriously. So I started making it. It was such an amazing outlet to have his stores, to be able to get feedback from people and see what people liked. And I could just make things and stick them in there. And he told me what protein bars sold good and what flavors people were after. And I had the freedom to take all the samples that he would get from the distributors of all the different proteins and be able to work with all the proteins to figure out what proteins baked good and dissolved well. And it was such a great outlet for me. Just definitely a God thing that we came together on that. And that's how I found, I probably tried 60, 70 different kinds of proteins to cook with and to see how they worked and what flours worked best. And it just trial and error and science. And then having, I think at that time it was like 3 or 4 stores that he had.
I think you're right. Yeah. There was
Hendersonville and
Smyrna. And his 2 corporate.
Yep.
So far, you're right.
And I got tons of feedback from the stores about what people liked and what they wanted to try to see me make and flavors that they wanted. And it was just such a great way to build my business and be able to slowly ease into it. And then it just kind of exploded from there. We actually, at one point, were turning business away for a while because we didn't have what it took to expand quickly. So we moved from that kitchen to our first commissary kitchen, stepped out and rented a commissary space and started producing more. And
which was scary.
Which was very scary. That was you and me in the kitchen cooking, and that was really scary.
Was not good for either one of us.
It was stressful. And it was definitely trying on our marriage. And we worked at that kitchen for about 6 months, didn't we?
Yep.
Then we outgrew that kitchen and we moved to another commissary kitchen. And that was amazing. We hired our first employee and worked out of that kitchen for quite a while. Mm-hmm. And then moved to another commissary kitchen. We were there for about a year. Yeah. 9 months.
Felt like more like probably 9 months, but yeah, it was a while.
And then decided to step out on our own and build our own kitchen, which was very scary.
Very scary. And
then we did that, signed our lease, started our build, and then COVID hit. And that was scary.
Well, y'all, we have to expand on that because we had committed all of our retirement and we decided we were going to do this as a business October of 19.
Yep.
Right. And so we had to buy a very, very expensive packaging machine because Dana has always been very passionate about we're not using preservatives. We're not putting garbage in. Y'all, I mean, we use peanut butter has to be just peanuts. Lime juice can be nothing else but lime. I mean, we use as close to whole foods as we can. I mean, in this day and age, it's not the easiest, but I would say 90% of our stuff, if not 100. And so, getting shelf life is not possible without putting preservatives and sugar and salt. So we stepped out. We bought our expensive packaging machine. It was supposed to be here in March. COVID. So we put all the chips on the table October. COVID hit March. So just so you know, all sidebar, wasn't a great time to start a business. But
we were very blessed because a lot of businesses were closing temporarily, some permanently. But we had gotten in with Eat Well Nashville at that time, and people were having a hard time finding food. So the meal prep companies were actually thriving. Yes. And it was the meal prep companies that probably kept us afloat at that time.
Online sales picked up quite a bit too. Not a lot, but they were picking up.
Yep. They were picking up, but Eat Well was doing great. Munch Meals was doing great. Like a lot of the meal prep companies that we were working with were still doing really good. And then the supplement stores, the nutrition factories were doing well because they didn't have to close at that time. They weren't part of the mandatory shutdowns. So it was all God, but we definitely were very blessed through that time even though a lot of places were closing, we were actually continuing to grow.
Yeah. And I just want to, take a moment to give a lot of love to Mike Byers and Chase Cook over at Nutrition Factory.
Yeah.
Them and Jessica over at Little Miracles, if it were not for those folks, we wouldn't even be in business. And so we just have a lot of love for them. They have given us an opportunity, a platform to take something Dana has always been passionate about.
And Ashley.
And Ashley, yeah.
And Ashley Ivy at the Smoothie Bar at Gold's for giving me my first retail location.
I'll never forget. Dana calls me and she says, today, sweetheart, she goes, I sold $35. And she goes, I know that's not that much. And I'm like, no, that's great. I mean, you have to start somewhere. And she's like, I know, but she's like, it's super exciting because I think I have to tell him one more funny story.
Oh gosh, so, you always tell the story.
So she comes to me and I said, so what are you charging for your snacks? And she's like, $3.50. And I said, oh, okay. I said, well, what does it cost? She goes, well, I don't know. And I said, well, so how did you come to the number $3.50? She goes, I just like the way it sounded.
And it was comparable to items in those categories in the stores at the time.
If you guys could go through a visual journey and just some of this stuff, I'll never forget it. I walked into her first kitchen. I was just stopping by. I was still working full time as a pharmacist to say hi at the Little Miracles kitchen. And she's in there, she's cutting her lip where she's got this little, it was almost like a fabric measuring tape, right? That little teeny, so she had it pulled out and she would mark little marks where she was going to cut her bars on both sides of her sheet pan. And she would take her little knife and cut them. I'm like, oh, sweetheart, I don't know if we can ever scale that. so
I wasn't planning on scaling at that time.
But we do have some funny pictures and some cute pictures.
I have a picture of you in a little cupcake ruffle apron, bagging lemon bars.
So it has been just a whole lot of fun. And I tell you what keeps us going each and every day is, well, A, God's strength, but B, just how people love it, right? Wouldn't you say that?
Oh my gosh, every day.
The emails, the testimonials, people stopping by the kitchen. It makes every long 14, 16-hour day, every week, it makes it all so worth it, y'all. So, we love all of our customers. They've become like family. We really do try to be a part of their lives, just like you have been with your clients. As we're growing, it's a little bit more of a challenge, but we still try to stay connected to them. And it's been neat to see how you have turned such a very difficult thing into such a very positive thing. And just so you know, she decides she's going to do a bikini contest. I remember her telling me this. She's like, there's a gentleman at the gym that's a trainer that, he's offering free training. He's going to do a little, what was it, like a little mini series that. Yeah,
he wanted to do like a reality show, like making good great, like taking people who are already athletes to the next level. And so he approached me and my best friend and a few other people at the gym and said, can I train you and record? And he wanted to send it into several different TV channels at the time. I was like, sure, I've always wanted to do one. That'd be great. Let's do it.
So tell us how you did in that first show.
I took first.
In True Novice. Took first.
I took first in Novice, first in True Novice, first in Open, first in Masters, and I won the overall.
Yeah. So y'all, she just beat everybody there, her first show. It was pretty emotional that day. I'm pretty sure that the judges were totally annoyed with me.
Well, our whole crowd. Group. Yeah. Our whole group.
We were as loud. You probably could have heard us towns away, but that was pretty. What did you get? Did you get tiaras like your mom was hoping for? Roses?
My mom's like, did you get a crown? No, I got swords, like real swords. They're amazing. I got 3 swords and a trophy. And she's like, but did you get flowers? I was like, no, Mom, I didn't get any flowers. I got swords. So you didn't get a crown and you didn't get any flowers. I was like, no, Mom. She goes, oh, well, I'm really excited for you.
So tell the audience kind of what our big project is in the making, where we're going in the future, and just tell us a little bit about that. We get some really exciting news happening.
Yeah, so it's been great. We've now been in our own kitchen for about 2 years. Yep. It'll be 2 years in November.
Yes.
2 years in November. We started out with 2,000 square feet. We had our manufacturing facility and our shipping center. In that, within about 6 months, we expanded another 1,000 square feet and put our shipping center and our offices in the other 1,000. And we've been in that kitchen now with 3,000 square feet since then. And it's been amazing. We've been through so many ups and downs and growing pains and working with different companies. And it's been awesome, but just trying to figure out kind of where we fit in, like where, having a protein bar that needs to be refrigerated, needs to be frozen or refrigerated is difficult to get into a lot of places because they want shelf stable. A lot of people told us we couldn't do it. We're never going to make it. You have to find something shelf stable. It's never going to work. But then we've had one really cool person tell us, no, you don't want to be on the shelf with everybody else. You want to be in the fridge. You want to be on your own. So we just stuck to it and kept pushing through. And we just got an offer from US Foods, which is amazing. Stepping back a little bit, Melody Kaiser, who's been on our show, reached out to us a while ago as a therapeutic doctor working with nursing homes and hospitals, and she helped us to develop our Protein Snack Shop Therapeutics line.
Yeah, she's got her PhD in nutrition.
Yep.
Very, very intelligent.
So we created our whole therapeutic line, and we make our actual cheesecake bars in sheet pans that we sell to the hospitals and nursing homes. And then we created our whipped cheesecake line that has no crust and is easier to swallow and higher in protein. So that's for people with dysphagia 1 and 2 who have a hard time swallowing. And then we were just picked up by US Foods, which is amazing for us. We're working through the onboarding process right now, and they service every hospital, nursing home. A majority, for sure. They're the number 2 food distributor in the country. Universities, high schools, right? Yep. Mm-hmm. So we're right in the process of onboarding with them, and we'll probably launch in the next couple months. Yeah, I would say probably February, March will be probably through everything with all the testing, and it's a pretty extensive process. Yes. And we've also just launched our freezer display box that will be in grocery stores. Mm-hmm. You'll hopefully start seeing us in the freezer section in grocery stores across the country. We're currently expanding our kitchen by how big? We're adding 2,000 square feet. 2,000 more square feet, which we're going to move the shipping center and offices over to that 2,000 square feet and expand our kitchen into the 1,000 right now. That is the shipping center. Getting tons of new equipment. We just got another packaging machine. We got a special oven just to bake our cheesecake crusts. We're getting another full oven, aren't we? We're getting a ultrasonic cheesecake cutter that should be here soon. Which we're excited about. That's a big thing, by the way. Yes, you have no idea how hard it is to cut cheesecake. Yeah, that's a challenge. We're getting more blast freezers. What else are we getting? So, and we're going through the highest level of food safety certification, which is a lot of work, guys. It's going to take us probably 9 months to a year to completely get through it, but we will literally be at the highest level with all the big boys as far as food safety and safety certification. And we can sell to any size retailer, domestic, international. We'll be internationally qualified too from a food safety standpoint. So, and we are working on some international accounts as well. So it's a lot going on. It's very, very exciting. And it all really stemmed from a very difficult, trying time in one person's life. Yeah. It's pretty cool to take something that so many young women struggle with. And we hope that through all of this, it's been very difficult it always is for Dana to tell her story. She's gotten a lot more comfortable with it, but we really I think a lot of people see her and think she's got the world by the tail. Everything's easy. I mean, you can't relate to me. I'm 50 pounds overweight. You don't know my struggle. And folks, she has been through probably your struggle and a whole lot more. And so we just hope through this whole process, this whole journey, that we can continue to motivate people, inspire people, help educate them with their health and nutrition, and then just reach people and love on them through food. Food is, just like you said, it's comfort, but it's
it's all social aspects, right? It's biblical. It is where you connect with family. And so through that, we just hope that we can provide you something that you really enjoy and that can help you along your fitness or health journey, and just kind of reach people in a different way. Right?
Right.
You have any closing thoughts today? It's been neat. Just, I live the story every day with her, and I tell more of the story. You probably get more excited about it because she is so humble about it. But y'all, just to get to the point where I left my career in January of 2020, she's probably put in, would you say, probably before I got there, 3,000 hours, just with all your little totes up and down the stairs, in and out of the little kitchen. Remember how many hours that would take every week? She would hand seal every little bag, hand cut every little bar, hand pack every muffin pack, and hand label. So you probably had 2,000 or 3,000 hours before I even came on.
Yeah, but let's not downplay what you've done either. Like, I'm good at creating and coming up with the recipes, but you're a pharmacist and you stepped out and you had to do thousands of hours of studying to figure out what a packaging machine even was, to set up the entire business side of it, cardboard and box liners and styrofoam and cellophane and
silly little things, folks. But
hours and hours and hours. You had to step out of pharmacy and become a food manufacturer. Neither of us had any idea what we were doing.
Some days I think we're still, we're like that robot that hits a wall and turns and hits another wall. That's how we've learned.
Yes. Eventually, once this is up and going on its own, we would love to do consulting to help small businesses grow and hopefully take away some of the growing pains that we've had to go through. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there who are big now today that don't do a really great job of helping out the smaller people. Some have been amazing and have really given us time and effort. But there's a lot of them that just, they don't want to bother with the smaller people. And I feel like that's just not the way to handle it.
No. And we let another young man use our kitchen for free, which has been cool. We've been able to mentor him. We've been able to kind of help other folks. And it's crazy. You don't, as a consumer, you don't understand probably or even realize or think much about what goes into getting a product to your front doorstep sometimes, especially if it's perishable. And so to not have any background in that, it's been a lot of learning. I'd never even heard of modified atmospheric packaging before until, you get on the internet and what that even meant. And just, it goes on and on. Just little things that seem so easy have been a huge challenge. And so that has always been our passion, is as we go through this journey, that we can save somebody the time and help, show them maybe potentially a better way or an easier way and just give back. That's why there's a lot of reasons we started this company, but that is certainly a big part of why we started, is we want to help people so they don't have to go through the frustrations and the time that we've had to invest.
Yes. Also within my passion too is the creative side of it. Of course, that's what I love to do. I do a lot of custom birthday cakes and weddings and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully sometime within this next year, we're going to be opening a retail location where we'll have a lot of that custom stuff. Because that's what I really enjoy doing. Yes.
If she could just create all day, she would be in a very blissful state. Yes. She loves to, folks. So another little side story, and we'll wrap this up. But we were moving to our first home, and I've always loved concrete, like concrete countertops, concrete, kitchen tables, like they stamp concrete outside. I've always loved it. So I was like, I want to get a kitchen table that's made out of concrete. Well, the problem is a kitchen table made out of concrete is thousands of dollars if it's done right. And then and even for like $2,000, you're like, these things are so chintzy and not well made. And so she just goes, oh, I'm going to make one. I'm like, oh, you're going to make one? How are you going to do that? She says, I don't know, I'll figure it out. There's Pinterest, there's Google, I'll figure it out. So we've probably had, what would you say, at least 50 people say, where'd you buy that concrete? That table? Will you make me? And then you're like, well, I made it. And they're like, no way. Can you make me one? So she can, I say this, and I mean it with all honesty. she is a prodigy when it comes to creativity. She is the Albert Einstein of creativity. She can write poetry that would blow your mind. I mean, I've got some beautiful poetry she's written us for me, but about us. She can make furniture. She can be a clothes designer. I mean, so she is very, very, very creative. This gentleman doesn't have one single creative cell in his body. I'm as happy with my socks match.
Which they don't usually actually.
Not usually.
But you're the brainiac. Like you have all the smarts that I don't have. We go out to a restaurant, we'll sit down in a new restaurant we've never been at. And he's like, I bet they pay this and this and this per square foot. And they've got this many employees and they pay them this. So to run this place, within like 15 minutes of sitting down, he has the entire business figured out of where we're eating and what it costs to run it. And I'm like, what? Can we just order our food? Like, I just want food.
we definitely compliment. I do love the number stuff and just, all the silly stuff that a lot of people probably wouldn't enjoy, but it works well with us.
It does. Yes. So with that being said, if there's anything that I want to close with, if anybody wants to see a new flavor or a new product, I love to hear from you guys, like what it is that you want. I love coming up with new flavors of cheesecakes and muffins and stuff like that, but even just new products. I'm always looking for new ideas.
So a lot of our flavors, it's really how most of our products have come about is people
requested them.
Well, the donut muffins that is hugely popular. Everybody's like, have you guys ever thought about making a keto donut? No. And so
it's hard to do.
That was a challenge.
Yep.
That took you quite a while. But so yeah, if you have any fun new stuff, send it our way. Follow us on social media. Give us some ideas about
just
what you'd
email
like to
us
see.
at info@proteinsnackshop.com.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for listening today. We sure appreciate and love you all for just all the support. The support's been incredible. As a small business, we don't take it lightly. We know you could spend your money anywhere you want. And so we just appreciate you and just your continued loyal support for our company. And we just love you and be blessed and we'll see you soon.
See you next time.
Yep. Bye.
Thank you.